And just like that, we are live on a Tuesday night. Get this going. Recording in progress for Talk Time with TJ, Triple T, number 217 on February 24th, 2026. My name is TJ Zeville. I call myself a professional problem solver, which I always follow up with, no, I don't know everything. I just have a unique way of asking questions, helping people get through challenges that they're facing, all sorts of them. And we are live on YouTube, which allows me to say, hi, Mom, up in Minnesota. Nice refrigerator up there now. We want to give a shout out to all the people snowed in on the East Coast. Yeehaw, yeah. Mark sent me some pictures showing a winter wonderland, and under some of those piles of white, there are even cars and houses. Who knows? Could be. But I'm down here in Dallas, Texas, y'all, and it is Tuesday night, and I get to spend a couple of hours with you all, and that makes me a happy man. But let's see, what else we going to talk about? Oh, yes, YouTube. For those of you on YouTube, please do me the favor that doesn't cost you anything but a couple of clickety-clacks. Please click the subscribe button, ring the bell so you know when we're back on the air. And click the like button, leave a couple comments. I would really appreciate it. Doesn't cost you anything, but it sure helps the channel out. And share these videos with friends and family, and even share them with strangers. I don't care. Somebody out there needs to hear the stuff that we come up with, and this isn't about me. If you've been around Triple T long enough, you know that this is a collaborative effort, and some of the stuff that comes out is absolute pure gold, all because of you all. So I appreciate you being here. And while you're spending time on the internet, do me a favor and check out my website at www.thetSWB.com. thetallskinnywhiteboy.com. That's what it stood for since way before the internet, so I don't care what you find on the internet for TSWB. If it ain't me, don't look at it. But when you go to the website, you're going to find out some stuff about me, some of the things that I get the pleasure and the honor of helping people with, such as depression, anxiety, phobias, PTSD, grief. Still doing a bunch of relationship work, so if you know somebody whose Valentine's Day, or as I like to call it, Singles Awareness Day, didn't quite work out the way they had planned, have them get a hold of me. I do offer a free 30-minute consultation, and that's where we can chit-chat, find out what kind of challenges you're up against, and if I feel that I'm a good fit, I'll let you know. But I also promise you, if I feel that we are not a fit, I will let you know, and I'll do my best to help you find the right person to help you get the answers, the changes, the new life you are looking for. That was a lot of work.
Nice wording on the new life that you're looking for. Wow. It's you wheeling and dealing.
Now that I've gotten a breath, it's also time to introduce the tie of the week. For those of you who are like, oh, what? I've been wearing a different tie every week. Started this back in the first episode of 24. And no, I don't have that many ties, but I've got enough ties to where I can wear a different one every week for more than a year. So, you ready for this one? You ready? I'm pretty sure you guys know who this is. Oh yeah, look at her. Little Acme delivery there. Probably dropping off some stuff to Wile E. Coyote, catching that road runner. And we always like to start off the show with finding out from you folks what's been going on. Who's got something cool, awesome that they can share from the last 7 days since we were here? Anybody? Anybody? Mark.
Yeah, I've gotten a couple referrals for young men, and I didn't know it was so endemic. But both of them are struggling with OCD, and I I'm just curious. Like I said, the you know they're just it's good to be getting referrals, but you know to but yeah, I'm just curious about why so much OCD lately. But I'll figure it out.
That might be a good discussion topic for the second hour.
Perhaps.
Remember that one. Anybody else got anything cool to share from the last 7 days? And while I'm thinking about it, I'll remind, seeing as how somebody brought it up to me, they were watching some of my videos and they were like, "Man, your eyes are going all over the place." I have a 50-inch monitor that I utilize, so I've got people there, 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 and there. And then I've got a security cam system over there, which I probably should turn off, but it's nice to know what's going on. So, yeah, so if I'm doing this, it's not that I have any issues. I'm just looking at everybody. So nobody else have any cool stuff to share from the last 7 days? Is it time to get on?
I just had an exciting adventure.
Ah, tell us.
I just came back from a double root canal.
Woo-hoo-hoo, yay!
Ah!
Yeah, everybody can send some nice healing, numbing energy to our good friend.
Yes. I did get some good drugs though. It was okay. It's okay. Yeah, it went well actually. I was thinking about it for a while and I just I did this what Abraham Hicks would call segment intending, right? Or before I went in, I'm like, okay, it's all going to go fine. All my angels, guides, teachers, and helpers will be there with their hands on his hands as he's working on me, and it's not going to be excessively expensive, and it all worked out fine.
Awesome.
Yep. So
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
certainly.
So, have you thought about doing the implant route instead of a root canal route?
I have. I actually have two. Well, it used to be teeth where I had the bone platelet. Sorry, the blood platelets done in my bone.
Yeah.
In my jaw. So I was thinking about having those done, but they can be kind of expensive. So
They can be. Just I wanted to throw out, do a little research really quick before they put the caps on there. You've got temporary caps, but
yes.
look into it because they're tying root canals to all kinds of health issues as of late. When you look a little deeper, because you have something that's dead, that's
Yeah.
no longer alive in your body,
Right.
and your body can't eject it like it could if it was a tooth.
I've heard that. I've had root canals for from years and years ago. And I've heard
Okay.
that your body sees it as something foreign and wants to get rid of it, right?
Yeah, that's all. Just giving you a little love, just
No, I hear you.
not trying to get us lost on the channel.
Yeah. But I also, as I said before, I thank my body every day. I have a great body, and I say, look, I'm sorry that this is in you or in us, and I appreciate that you keep us healthy and don't try to eject it. It'll all be fine. And so far, I haven't had any issues. So,
Yeah.
but I appreciate the input.
I love the input there, because then you're blessing it and it all works out. So that's awesome.
Exactly. Expect the best. There's nothing bad. It's all for me. So seems to be working.
Perfect.
Awesome. And I just got a text that Mom missed my hi, Mom, earlier because I did it too quick. So we'll get another one. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Mom.
There, now you got lots of them. Anybody else before we get rolling? Holly.
I've got one I'll share. I'm kind of proud of myself. This week I went to the gym multiple times to do my proper physical therapy.
All
And
right.
the day I'm especially proud of, we had our first real snowstorm of the season. I mean, real in quotes, it wasn't huge, but it actually stuck to the ground and needed to be shoveled off and everything. And I still made it. So I was proud of myself for doing that.
Yeah,
Good for you.
very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if nobody else has anything to share, I guess it's time to get on with the show. And for those of you that are new to Triple T or watching the replay for the first time, it's a 2-hour show. First hour, I do my best to try and get through 3 topics that I've picked for the week. And then the second hour, we change things up a little bit, and it's open mic, open platform, and anybody on the call can ask a question or bring up a topic, and I let everybody on the call answer first. So if you're watching this, please join us live. You don't even have to know how to spell NLP. We're welcome to anybody, and it's nice to get some fresh thoughts, fresh questions into the mix. So we got that done. Now it's time to jump into the topics. Tonight's topics for episode number 217: help, rebuild, and plan. And help. About what time you think, what part of our lives do you think we learned that concept? Probably
I'm
before
sorry, that wasn't
we're
clear.
in, what's that?
It's help rebuild the plan.
Oh, the 3 topics: help,
Oh.
second topic is rebuild, and the third one is plan.
Oh, okay, I got it.
And we learned that we need help probably before we're even estimate all the above. And yet we seem to get to a part in our life where we convince ourselves that there is a problem or a weakness or something tied to asking for help. And it seems like the older we get, the more ingrained that gets into our system. And yet, we hear all these things: teamwork makes the dream work, and all the above. And I've had a number of people that, well, we'll start off with this. You guys, if you know me at all, you know that I absolutely love to help people in any shape, form, or fashion that I can help. I love helping people, and I'll hear people that, oh, I needed help with this thing, and I'm like, well, why didn't you ask? Well, I didn't want to bother you. I know you're busy. And the answer that I've learned to reply with, to put it into context, and I've had to adopt it myself because I can be a little hard-headed. Don't tell anybody, keep it a secret. What I tell people is, well, out of curiosity, when you get the opportunity to help somebody who needs your help and you have the ability, how do you feel after you've been able to help them successfully? And I'll look at them and they're like, well, good. Like, how good do you feel if you really got to help somebody that really needed help? Well, I feel really good. Then why would you rob me of that opportunity, of that, to feel that by helping you? Just saying. I promise you I won't rob you of the opportunity to feel good by offering me some help. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm going to call you for everything. My wife pointed out that I'm a little independent. Okay, I'm a lot independent. I was a bachelor for a long time, and I didn't look the part, neither did my house or my vehicles. So, yes, I know how to cook and clean and do laundry and fix stuff and fix more stuff and fix a lot more stuff and all the above. So I don't ask for help a whole lot, but there are certain projects where I realize that I cannot do them alone. And as such, I've had to ask for help, I've had to hire help. And a little something that was said to me by a buddy of mine who's a contractor, it's interesting how much faster and harder we work when we're paying somebody to help us. A project that may take us, if we had to do it alone, may take a week. If you've got hired hands there, you're putting the hammer down, you're getting the things done, and that thing gets done pronto. And I think that's kind of the little difference when people come to us professionals for help with their issues. They can go to their friends, they can go to their bartender, they can go to their hairstylist, they can go to all these people that are going to offer all this help. I'll help you, Chen. I'll help you with your quitting smoking and I'll help you with your relationship issues. Yeah, like you want to listen to Maud, who's been divorced 5 times and is now bartending at the Vifwa on Thursday nights. But when people come to us and they're willing to put down cash for the change, they typically get the change much quicker. Lenora.
I have thoughts about this topic a ton over here. And just in case you all think I'm whack nuts, I have a very empty, nearly empty bottle of lotion, and that's what I was doing over here.
Yeah.
Okay, totally digress. I think the big thing about asking for help is because you're taught when you're little, oh, ask for help, ask for help, ask for help. And then suddenly one day you wake up and it flips and they're like, oh, God, can't you do it yourself yet? Or be more independent, figure it out on yourself. So now it flips into shaming people or dismissing them and not being as attentive. So now you're thinking, oh, well, I'm a big girl. I need to stand up for myself. I need to do this by myself. I'll figure it out by myself. And then you get a little attitude like I have gotten in the past. And then you just assume that you can do everything. I love how even the people off camera are shaking their head. I know, you're so surprised by this. And then you get a little attitude like I have gotten in the past. And then you just think you can do everything for yourself and that you don't need any assistance. Until then, you're thinking, oh my God, now I have to ask for help. And now you're stuck in a shame loop of, I want to ask for help, but I should be able to figure it out. And then your bypass is, well, I'll hire somebody to help me, because that's a little more dignified than asking somebody else to help me without the reciprocity of equal exchange. I have more thoughts, but I'll pause for now.
And you're spot on with all of that. That's why the topic came up. And the other part that is interestingly humorous is when you do have multiple talents and you've done something major by yourself because you know you can do it, and yes, it was a little challenge, and somebody's like, well, why didn't you ask me for help? Because I didn't need it. Well, I could have helped you anyway. Maybe. Or maybe I just wanted to do it to prove that I could do it still. And there's so many different facets to this now that's where I thought it was kind of interesting with all the things that we need help with. And as we age, then our help requirements change. Yes. Or it could be what we like to hear, it's not a software issue, it's a hardware issue. Like when I'm shopping and I recognize the look immediately on the height challenged people who look at me and they're like, oh, you, tall boy, can you get that? They didn't even have to ask. All they had to do was point. And I just reach over the top of them and I hand it to them. Oh, it must be nice to be tall. Yeah, till you need to shop for clothes or fit in a car or ride a motorcycle. And one of my favorite jokes that I've been telling for years now, my wife has already heard me say it to I don't know how many people. If I find somebody who's at least 5'4", 5'5", and under, I love to ask them, hey, know what the two of us have in common? And they'll look at me like, what? And I go, sun visors in vehicles are worthless. Because short people want a sun visor, they reach up and pull the sun visor all the way down, and they still want a sun visor. Us tall people want a sun visor, we touch it, and now we can't see the road. Like, what the what? Motorcycles. I feel like I'm a giraffe sitting on back of a pony. Short people are like, I can't even ride this thing because I can't touch the ground. I need those little automatic training wheels that drop down for motorcycles. They do have them now for short people. I'm like, if we can go through all this problem, why can't motorcycle manufacturers go, we have extra big boy motorcycles for those of you that are over 5'10", and we got custom low boy motorcycles for those of you that are under 5'5". Just a thought. Work.
Yeah. Again, I think that again, I don't think any. I think a lot of acts, like I said, they give us a good feeling, that oxytocin when you help somebody else. There's that, and there are some people that are addicts to oxytocin, the healthy chemical. I happen to be one of them. My name is Mark, and I'm an oxytocin addict. Healthy chemical.
With you.
And but I had a thought, reminded me of a story of a boyfriend and girlfriend, and they're both living in separate apartments, and they were both slobs. And but whenever the girlfriend went over to to his apartment, and she was always cleaning, straightening, cleaning. One day, the boyfriend said, Why are you, when you come over here, why are you always cleaning? I mean, you're just as big a slob as me. She says, yeah, but when I clean my apartment, all I end up with is a clean apartment. When I come over here and clean your apartment, I'm helping you. And that's a really good feeling.
For the win. Great answer. Holly.
Man, I've got so many thoughts going so many different ways. Thanks, Mark, for sharing that. That was exactly what I needed to hear. So a couple thoughts that I have going on. This has actually kind of been a theme in my life of asking for help and not asking for help. Whether you want to call it, God, higher self, whatever terminology, even just, gut instinct, whatever. I've gone through phases of my life where I will just, ask for the answer and get it. And I feel like I'm being independent and the goal is to be independent. And then I'll go through phases of my life where the answer I get is you need to ask for help. I'm not going to give you the answer. I'm going to give you the name of the person who can help you. And then it will be like so awful because I want that answer. I don't want to bother that person. But then I get used to that and I do that. And then all of a sudden at some point it swaps back again of, okay, you've gotten used to asking people for help to the point you're starting to lean too much on them. You need to be independent again. So I guess kind of like the lesson that I've learned is, first of all, it's a balancing act. There are times we need to be independent. There are times we need to ask for help. And often it's the opposite of what we want to do. It's I can't ask for help, I probably need to, or I can't do this by myself, maybe I need to learn to do it by myself. But being on the other side of it, there have been a couple times in my life where I was just feeling like, I don't know, for lack of a better word, like a waste of space, like I wasn't helping anybody, like I wasn't meaningful to anybody's life. And somebody reached out to me. There's multiple occasions when this happened, but I'll give one example. So in my church, they assign people to be there to help each other. So this is your assigned couple people to help if you need to go to. And they used to call it visiting teaching. They don't anymore. But I had somebody that I would do visiting teaching send me a text and say, I'm so sorry to bother you, but I left my purse in the parking lot and we just went out of state and I just realized I left my purse in the parking lot. Could you go grab it? And it was a day when I was just, like I said, I was feeling like, I'm just taking up space on earth. Why am I even here? And there was something about that request. I was able to jump into action. It was a very easy thing for me to do. I felt like I'd actually been useful, but it immediately, what she didn't know is she was helping me by asking for my help.
Mm-hmm.
So, here she was thinking that it was just about her and that she was bothering me. And no, she wasn't bothering me. Not only did I feel good about being able to help her, I needed her to ask for my help that day because it helped me in a completely different way. Even though she didn't know that was why she was calling. I believe there was a reason for that. So if you ever get that feeling of, I really should reach out to this person for help, no, it's not always just about you.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, it's not just if they were to see me struggling, how much would they want to help me? Sometimes it's and maybe, as we discuss a lot of the time, we learn what we need to learn. We get our answers sometimes by helping somebody else. So it's I can't figure out about what to do about this situation. Somebody else comes to you, asks for help, and you get the answer in helping them. And that's how you were meant to get your answer. So, and then also, we've talked about the bread of shame. When you always insist on helping everybody else, but never asking for help in return, people start to get to where they feel guilty accepting your help, and maybe they won't reach out to you when they really need it, because they know when you really need it, you're not going to reach out to them, and they just feel too guilty. Versus if you know that you've got a mutual kind of relationship, people feel a lot less guilty about reaching out to you. And I've mentioned this, I've probably mentioned all of these before too, but another point that comes to my mind is always have more than one person in your support system. Because when you do a request for help, it's just a request. And if they're not available, go to the next person on your list. It takes a lot of the pressure off when the people in your system know, hey, if you happen to be available, I'd love to get your help. But if you're going through something right now, if it's the middle of the night because you're in a different country, whatever it may be, if this is not the time for you to help me, I've got other people in my system. So just, say, now's not a good time. Are you okay? Do you have somebody else who could help you out? And the answer is going to be yes. I've noticed that takes a lot of the pressure off. The ability to say no makes yes mean a lot more. Also, I'm just going to kind of share, I know I've shared this before, but I just shared an image in the chat for those who are on the actual live call. But they talk about, that zone of proximal development, that flow state all in the middle. When you're helping, it's important to get rapport with somebody so that they can trust you. It's important to listen to them. This has been a theme of my week. We've been talking a lot about, they call it white savior syndrome. And they learned that a lot of people in the West feel bad for orphans, in certain countries, maybe war-torn countries, but they don't want to take the time to talk to the people and get to know what they actually are dealing with. They just want to write a check and feel good. And the problem was all that money made it so that orphans were valuable. And so kids started getting kidnapped from their families to be paraded around.
And then you
Did she cut out?
Well, she was on a roll too.
You got kidnapped.
Holly, if you can hear us, you locked up, we'll be here. And she pointed out a good thing for those of you that are watching on YouTube. You don't get to see the comment sections, and there's a lot of stuff that you're missing there. So another reason to join us live. But while we're waiting for Holly to get back online, there she dropped out. Another place that, and I wish she was on here to hear this. Another place where we get to help people, well, that's our work. That's our job. That's the job. And it's interesting when it comes to interviews. I've coached a number of people for job interviews, and Dr. David Snyder had a training specifically for he called it the interview buster. And I see so many people that make the job interview such a scary process. And yet when you understand that you're going there to meet somebody who is asking for help, that's why it says help wanted. And you're showing up saying, hey, I would like to help. Well, can you do what we need help with? That's what we're going to find out. And so you find out what they need help with. Are you qualified to provide the help that they're looking for? It's just another request for help by a stranger. And if you provide the help well enough, they will compensate you with money and other compensations. But again, at its very lowest form, it is simply, I need help. Hi, I'm here to help you. Okay. But they're asking people that they haven't met yet. Not always. I've gotten many jobs with people that kind of knew me, so they knew that I was qualified. So the conversation about whether or not I could help them or not went fairly quick. And so I didn't have to worry about all of the in-depth questions. But my wife is an executive recruiter, and so she is talking to people all day, all the time. And some people get it. They understand that we need help with this position. Oh, hi, you don't know me. I'm here to help. What would you like to know? And they're laid back and relaxed. The other people have put such a stigma on the job interview, they forget that it's simply a request for help and make it much more complicated than it has to be. Any other ahas, epiphanies, comments on this before we try and fit at least 2 topics in tonight? Holly.
I have a follow-up question to get people's opinion on. When it comes to offering help, because obviously we don't want to be that person that forces our help on somebody who doesn't want it, how do you offer your help in an appropriate way so that it doesn't feel like you're being overbearing and arrogant and inserting yourself in a situation where you don't belong, but people still know that you're available if they want help?
That sounds like a great question for hour number 2, because I can see that one going for quite a while.
Okay, fair.
But it's going to come down to communication skills. And, what kind of a job are you looking to work at? Who are you talking to? I know, because if you go to my website and click on the About Me tab and scroll down just a little bit and click on the white box there, you'll see how many different professions I've been part of and how diverse I've had to be when it came time to offer my help for what they needed help with. Anybody else before we change it up quick? Mark.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to offer help, even if you're trying to help somebody, build a shed or something, and you don't know which end of the hammer to hold. The fact that you're willing to give it a shot, I guess, to help, I think is also a good trait. Like I said, you could be totally useless, and in terms of the type of help they want, and that could bleed into business too. But the fact that you're willing to help, I think, makes people feel good about, this guy's willing to help me out. Sometimes when I was younger and my friends were moving, they'd call me and I'd always be there to help. I don't know if again, I might not have any skills a willingness to help and a strong back, those are key. But you might not be able to help them, but your willingness to help them, says something more about you than it does about them.
Yeah. And one of my squirrels just brought up the idea that some of the jobs, they weren't exactly looking for help. I wanted to work at their location. So I just walked in and said, this looks like a cool place. I want to work here. Well, we're not really hiring right now. Well, I'm in between professions, so you mind if I just hang out and help you out, sweep the floor, keep the place clean, do stuff? And when I said maximum 2 weeks. And at the end of 2 weeks, if I'm still here and you guys think that I did something that was worthwhile for you, if you want to compensate me, cool. If you feel I wasn't an asset to the location, to the business, we'll shake hands. It's been real. And every time I did that, I got a job. I got something. But I was willing to put myself out there And was I putting in full days hard labor? Sometimes. But I also let them know that, hey, Tuesday I'm going to be in a little late because I got to go do a job interview. So they knew that if I got to find something. And that's usually when they notice that, hey, the place is cleaner, you got some skills, you're helping out. Maybe we'll keep you around. Maybe you can stop looking for a job. Just a different way to approach and think about it. Or even, I know one of them, I had a job that I hated. And so on the weekend, I would show up at this other place and help them out. And they knew that I was not happy where I was working, so they offered me a job full-time. So different ways to get around it. Lenore, you had your hand up earlier. You still got some squirrels? Okay. Well, then we're gonna jump into the second topic, so we can at least get two in tonight. And the topic is rebuild. And this one popped in my head today because I've had a couple of building projects going on around here, but I'm also in the process of rebuilding an old pickup. And while I was working on one of the parts today, it crossed my mind that the only way you can rebuild something is something has to happen first. And what's that?
That's the break.
What has to happen even before that?
Take it apart, troubleshoot it,
No.
get the theory of what it's supposed to do.
Has to be put together first.
First, it has to be built before you can rebuild it. And some stuff, you know, like we're watching Mr. Duncan out there in San Diego in his amazing shop, rebuilding and repairing all of these amazing old vintage audio equipment, which back then, at some point in time, was the brand new cutting edge, coolest stuff, and it had to be thought out, laid out, put together. And if you've ever seen any of these up close and personal inside, to think about what had to be thought out, put together, parts designed, manufactured, and assembled. There, look at that.
God, it's so heavy.
Yeah, because those old ones actually had metal in them.
Yep.
And now here we are. Approximately, how old is that one, Greg?
Like 74?
74.
Oh, 50. Is that 52 years?
Yeah. And the truck I'm working on is a 79. But I've even looked at some of the old, if you've been in some of the old shops where these massive machines back before computers, just like that machine that Greg's working on, that was designed before computers. So everything had to be handwritten, designed, printed out, and put into a deal for mass building. But the reason that I bring this up is that's all good and fine because that was most likely a group project. They put it all together.
Yep.
Who built your life? And when might be a good time to take a look at the condition and do some rebuilding on your life? If you could do upgrades, if you could do changes, if you could change a few parts out, what might you work on? And if you found stuff that you weren't qualified for, who would you contact? Kind of like if you had that beautiful old receiver there, you'd call Greg. And even Greg comes up against some stuff there that he has to have somebody else help with.
There you go.
So when we're looking at where we're at, here we are in what I like to refer to as version 26.2, which would be February 2026. We got 10 months to go roughly. If you could do any upgrades, changes, what would you put on your list? How much help might you need? Who would you call first? Who would you inform for backup support? Anybody that's ever worked on computers knows that it's probably a good idea to do a little backup before you go digging in, changing things out. Because not every upgrade is an upgrade. I'm pretty sure that there's got to be at least more than one of you people out there that have the same reaction I do when that little prompt comes up on your phone. Time to upgrade. Here, download this new download. Download this upgrade. I'm like, no, because then I'm going to downgrade my phone like it last time you told me it was an upgrade and screwed everything up. So I'm curious. Now that you guys have had a little chance to think about it, what has been one of your favorite upgrades that you've done in your life? And it doesn't have to be massive, but what was an upgrade that you did that you're most proud of? Lenora.
Asking for help, especially from this great group of people, and especially from TJ, because that completely changed my life.
Aw. Thank you. Your check's in the mail, by the way.
About time, my gosh.
Okay, all right. Mike, good to see you here, brother.
Hey, thank you. So here is an interesting conversation. I have come up with my new relationship with my father, in which I know
Yeah.
the realization, not the realization, the implementation, not the implementation, but the living of this truth. He treats me the way he thinks of me. He thinks of me how he feels about me. He loves me the way he feels about me. And if it's shit, and if it is, if it is poor, then that's the real truth. And that helps me understand that it's not my fault, and that it's out of my control, and I can move on.
Yeah. dealing with humans in their natural environment, whether they're strangers or family or relatives or all the above. You can only do what you can do and be you. And understand that they are humans dealing with their own stories and past and programs and all the above. Mark?
Yeah, it's interesting. We're one of our favorite games to play is trying to rebuild other people, political figures, maybe other people in our lives. But the fact that we think, oh, it would just be so easy to rebuild this human being, and it's like a comic once said, yeah, we should tear him down and put up a human being in his place. He was talking about some, we seem to, again, we see everything that's, worn out or another human being is one of our favorite games to play. And, oh, if they just did this and this, their lives would be perfect. And it's never that complexity. But yeah, we look at other people and think, oh yeah, we could rebuild them.
Yes.
It would be it would be easy. And no, it's not. It's not that easy. I said most people are going along, just happy with, who they are, and if the tires are getting a little bald, well, I'll just slow down. The carburetor's sputtering, well, I'll just turn up the radio louder. We don't want to engage in all the effort it would take to rebuild, a total rebuild.
Right, exactly. And when does this show up a lot as well? January 1st. Oh, it's time for upgrade and rebuild, and I'm gonna do, and they've failed to put a plan in place, which is actually the third topic is planning. And if you have to plan the first build, and it would be really nice if as human beings we could have done that and have our little master plan as we're going on through life going, look, when I was born I built this master plan and I'm right here, and if you think, no, we're running full throttle into the fog and hoping we don't hit something. And yet, if we don't plan, and we know a few of those people that are just freewheeling, like I say, they're not even, they just put the vehicle on cruise control at 90 miles an hour and jumped in the back seat to take a nap. And we're on the same highway with them. I think we all know that we've all probably had at some point in our life one of them people slam into us and claim it was our fault because we were in the way. And so the reason I brought up plan is, once again, 26.2, you got 10 months to put together some type of plan for at least giving yourself a fighting chance at being the better version by the time we get to 27.1. What they say, Failure to plan is planning to fail. Mark, now that you've taken a big swig.
That was exactly what I was going to say. Fail to plan, and you plan to fail. And the during the blizzard, I heard a report that some people were driving the wrong way on one of the major highways. Not just one, but but they mentioned a few people. And if you ask that person, I'm sure they would have said, well, that was where the road was clearest. You're going the wrong way. You're failing to plan here that there is cars coming in the other direction. That's a red flag,
Coming from Minnesota, I think all of us, we've got a couple of people here from Minnesota. I think we've all seen that phenomena where people are like, well, it used to be a 3-lane highway, but because of drifting, it's 1.25. So we're all just going to drive as much as we can, and if we meet somebody, we're going to figure out which one of us has better traction to go through the snow. Okay, you, dude, in the big four-wheeler, go that way. You can get through the snow. I can't. Beep, beep. Yeah, I see Nancy going, oh yeah, I remember that day. Yeah. And of course, Nancy was in the four-wheeler. And yet, they still made it. And if you were thinking about these people, the way they have to go through life, it might be one of those where that was the only thing they could figure out. Like you said, Mark, when they asked them, what are you doing? Well, it's the only place that's clear where I can drive. Yeah, but you're heading the wrong direction down the road. I made it this far. Well, if all your friends jumped off a cliff, would you too? Not enough information. Wait, what? And yes, Mom, if I would have known that answer back in the day, I probably would have used it. Not enough information. What do you mean? Well, do we have parachutes? Do we know how to use it? How deep is the cliff? Is there water down there? Can I dive? Does everybody live? Holly, what's 2 plus 2?
Is this my obnoxious answer you want me to give?
Somebody out there just is starting to go, what? Not enough information. What's 2 plus 2? Knee-jerk reaction for all of us that have passed 3rd grade? 4. Not always right. Right, Holly?
2 plus 2 centimeters equals?
Huh?
Oh, for anyone who wonders why, what is 2 inches plus 2 centimeters?
It's not 4. What's 2 grapes plus 2 oranges?
Beginning of a fruit salad.
It's not 4. See? And what's 59 plus 1? Well, that would be, we are almost 60 minutes into the show, which means it's time to change it up into hour number 2. And if you tuned in late or this is your first time on Triple T, the way it works now is it's open mic, open platform. Anybody on the call can bring up a topic, ask a question, and everybody on the call gets to answer first because I like to learn as well. So, starting off hour number 2, we had two great topics that were brought up earlier. Who remembers the question they wanted answered, and who wants to ask it first? Lenora.
I don't remember the question, but I do have a question. So if there was
Yay!
somebody else that was going to follow up, please know that I will wait in line as number 3. And my question is about body language.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Mark.
I got a rather long question. So again, it's, I like everybody's input, every single one, why do people think America is this great country? That's my
We can't
question.
put political on here. I'll lose
No. This has nothing to do with political. This has everything to do with, there's no evidence that we're the greatest country. Again, we have freedoms. We have, but we're 12th in science, 28th in mathematics, 9th in literacy, 61st in life expectancy, 60th in infant mortality. Why do we think America is such a great country? If we're not, we're number 1 in people incarcerated per capita. We have the most people who believe in aliens, that they're real. And we're the number 1 spender on defense spending, and we spend more than the other 20 countries on the list. That's the only thing we're first. Why are we number 1? Again, I don't know. Just a question I had.
because aliens are real. Most of them are running the country, and
we used to be,
and it's all a psyop.
Yeah. We stood up for what was right. We fought for what was right. We made laws and removed laws because they weren't right. We waged wars on poverty, not on people. We sacrificed. We put our money where our mouths were. We didn't beat our chest about it. We built great big things, made ungodly technical advances. We went to the moon for all mankind. We aspired to intelligence. We didn't belittle it. All I can say is we didn't identify ourselves by who we voted for, and we didn't scare so easy. And I know we used to be, that we were the greatest country, but it's hard to hold up that opinion just based on, our past. So, why are we the greatest country?
That sounds like I saw that clip, and I'm trying to remember the actor that was the one that answered that. He did it quite well, but I don't remember what the answer was. But Holly's got her hand up.
So I'll try to answer this in a more generic way, maybe more of a question than an answer. Just try not to alienate anybody, try not to get this too political. But first of all, I will say, we have to remember when dealing with statistics in any way, shape, or form, that we live in the 3rd most populous country in the world. And people sometimes forget the impact that has on numbers. So if you're ever looking at, the population of California is roughly the same as the population of Canada, just to put it in perspective. So sometimes we hear these statistics, and I'm thinking of a specific report that I heard that basically they were looking at gun violence, and they went through why the statistics that are quoted are never quoted right by either side. It was a fascinating. Anyway, the point was, first of all, statistics could be made to mean anything. It depends on how you define things. Sometimes people have to put assumptions. One of my favorite studies ever, somebody proved that gun ownership caused certain kinds of violence. I won't get too specific. And I looked at the footnote, and they said, okay, who owns guns? Well, we don't have a national register. So how did they assume gun ownership? It was using that exact same violence statistic backwards. So all they did was say that, X divided by X equals 1, and that meant something, so anyway, so my first point is, whenever you see statistics of any kind, I'm not saying they're meaningless, but always take them with a grain of salt and look, are they looking at percentages, or are they looking at total values? Are people quoting, 2020's values, but not 2021's because 2020 was the peak or the low point, or, does the person quoting the thing have an agenda? But anyway, all that aside, even if we just assume all those statistics are correct, when we talk about the best, well, the best according to what? We talk about criterion values. Best is one of those words you can't put a pound of best in a wheelbarrow. Best is going to depend on what your criteria and your values are. And so I've thought about it a lot, and I'm not saying we get it perfect here or that other countries don't have good things too. That's not what I'm saying here. But when it comes down to it, and I'm just going to go with freedom as an example, how much better health would you be willing to give up if it meant giving up your freedom? And once again, this is not me saying other countries don't have freedom or whatever, but how much wealth would you be willing to give up to lose freedom? So I think a lot of what it's going to come down to, if you believe, the U.S., where does the U.S. at least historically excel? When it comes to our Bill of Rights, we have a lot of freedoms that we sometimes take for granted, and other countries have started doing them, but they're not enshrined and legally protected the way they are here. As we've seen at times, other countries, we're the only country, I believe, that has an enshrined constitutional right to freedom of speech, for example. And once again, that's not saying you could yell fire in a crowded theater, as they always talk about. There are common sense limitations to it. But there's a reason why other countries have recently been passing, laws that infringe on, or, that arrest pastors for teaching from the Bible on Sunday because the Bible is racist or whatever. It seems like no country would do that. But, some countries have it enshrined in law. Some of them observe it just because it's the good way to, it was what people thought, but it can change very quickly if it's not enshrined in law the way ours is. So just something to think about. What are your criteria and values of what makes a good life? Because one of the problems with freedom is it also comes with responsibility. So some people would give up freedom for comfort. What matters to you the most? And, it could be lost here too. I'm not saying we can have it, What would you be willing to do to protect certain freedoms as well?
Well, I may be biased, but I still think we're the greatest.
I'm 100% biased. We are the greatest. But I also know that it comes down to opinions, and anybody that has spent any time with me knows that my metaphor for opinions are like buttholes. Everybody's got one. Some are clean, some are dirty, some stink. But everybody thinks theirs is the greatest. Bless you. Okay. Before I get any more political, what was the other question, Lenora?
Sorry, I didn't know if I was unmuted. The question was about body language. It was more of a general one. Somebody in our Triple T group had sent me a message and would like me to ask about it. So feel free to share what you know about it. I know some of us have a little bit different of a background and have taken more classes than I on body language. And the question, when I asked, do you have a specific question? The person said just a general question about body language. So any insights? I know I had shared with them that Chase Hughes is a fantastic resource for body language. Absolutely. And I shared some of Chase's work and his links on from YouTube or Facebook or anything like that, because I know he's rock solid in that stuff.
Who's got an answer for Lenora on body language? Could I ask a little more definition on the question? Specifically, what are they looking for regarding body language?
That's what I was curious about too. But the question was simply, does anybody know any information about body language? So maybe perhaps any books that people like. I know Holly is a great resource on our books. And if there's any classes or anything online that anybody had really liked about it. And perhaps maybe in the general sense of interacting out in the community, not necessarily for things to look out for manipulation or anything like that, just general social engaging. I know certain things like pay attention to someone's feet and see which direction the toes are pointed. And you want them to be pointed toward you, as that will communicate more that they are engaged. If they're pointed away from you, it's indicating that they would like to leave the conversation. I don't know if there's any other body language courses that you guys have or anything like that. I wonder if I have any in my archive.
Holly.
I'll attempt. I'm trying to find it. I can't find it. Temple Grandin co-wrote a book for people who are on the autism spectrum, going over body language, and I really wish I could find it. I will say, as somebody who is on the autism spectrum, for me, discussing body language is kind of like a blind person discussing the nuances of color. I could say it by rote memory because I've taught it, but it's never going to be the same as fully understanding it. But I will say, a big question is, know your outcome is step one in everything, as we've learned from Dr. David Snyder. So, is your outcome, you want to make people feel more comfortable around you? Do you want to have authority? Do you want, it's going to be very different body language to make somebody feel really comfortable and safe and not challenge their authority versus establishing your authority, for example. But a few things that I have learned. So, the Duchenne smile is a big one. That, you get the crinkle around the eyes if somebody has a genuine smile. And if they don't have that around their eyes, it's probably just a polite smile. And yeah, I think I often forget to look at the feet and what direction they're pointing to see if somebody wants to run away. Your physical size and proximity matter a lot. So, I don't know if you've seen Dr. David Snyder do his thing where he walks up to somebody and he's down if they're sitting at a desk, and he'll start crouched down and talking to them, and then he'll slowly stand up because he's changing his stature in their physical space. And he's coming in non-threatening, and then he's increasing his authority in their world, basically. I think a lot of, I don't know if any of you ever watch, I think it's called Super Nanny, but one of the things that she always talks about with kids is when you're disciplining them, the first thing you need to do is get down to their level and, look them in the eye, explain, what's going on, it's now bedtime, or, I need you to apologize for hitting your sister, or because you aren't apologizing, I'm taking you to time out. It's so important to be on the level with the person you're speaking, physically on the level as much as you possibly can.
Well,
how much
she
you
started it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, TJ, we need you to slump over every time you talk to anybody. Obviously, it's going to depend on context, though. If you're in a place where somebody's getting attacked and you're coming in to protect them, you don't want to, come in soft. Maybe you want to scare them and get them to run away. So, once again, it's all about what is the outcome you're trying to get. But, we talk about master and command or rock star, open heart trust trigger. For those who've been in, Dr. David Snyder's world, those are the ones we practice. But, a lot of it comes down to your posture and your breathing and paying attention to the other person and, mirroring them, matching them, as we learn in NLP. Because a lot of this is, some of it's about reading their body language, but some of it is about causing them to have beneficial body language. So if you want them, if you want somebody to trust you more, you give them a hot drink and that they feel warm towards you. Maybe if you want, this would be more of like a Chase Hughes thing, I think, that I learned, but David probably talks about it too. But if you want somebody to, maybe sign a contract, have them reach forward and grab something so that their back is not up against the chair, so that they're not in this retreating posture. So once again, it just all comes down to what is your goal with body language? Is it to read it better? Is it to, not control, but influence it better so that you can get a better outcome? Is it to improve your own body language so that you have more authority, so that you're more trustworthy, so you're less scary? these things are all there. Tone is a big one too. But those are just a few of my thoughts.
Yep. Great stuff. I know Michael knows a lot about body language in that department. So what do you got to share with us, brother?
Yes, sir. Body language is key, especially like when you're talking to somebody to see if they're closed off. They've got their arms closed, crossed. You reach in and, hey man, are you cold? You know, you can tell me no, but tell me no later. You know, if my boss sees you sitting like that, I'm going to get in trouble. Have I offended you? You know, to get them out of that state, and you want to laugh and get them out of that state so they laugh at themselves as well. You know, one thing David Snyder does as well is changing your own body posture. You know, taking the victory stance.
Yep.
You know, and stuff like that, because that's huge, because then it controls your mindset. When you're talking to somebody as well, you need to be open and not have your hands closed in front of you or guarded, because you're trying to come across, depending on how you're trying to come across, you want to be open. There's lots and lots and lots of things, and the mirror and matching thing is huge, where you suck them in and then you get them to open up. Fantastic. So great job, Holly.
Yep. Good stuff. Mark.
Yeah, there's an old book. It's probably online as an audiobook by now, but it's called Body Language, and then the subtitle is What Every Body is Saying. And that might be a good resource. You know, it's like I say, it's kind of old, but it's you know, it's a good primer. Nope.
Right
I'm not
on.
sure if that's and Holly just put in Joe Navarro. That
Yeah.
might, I guess that's the author, but yeah, no, again, body language, you know, again, you know, certain people, you know, I feel that women are aces at reading body language, and I have to tell myself to focus on it if I'm going to, you know, but most women they can read a friend's body language from across the room and get a lot of information from them, and before they even walk up to the table, you know, and or meet with them, because you know, we're broadcasting with our body language a lot of information.
Yes. Exactly. Much more than we realize. Holly.
What Mark said just reminded me too of the work of Dr. Paul Ekman. If you want to get really into micro expressions, I mean, he's got his book, but also he has an online training program that you could sit there and they'll flash micro expressions at you, and you identify it, and it quizzes you till you get better at it, so you can actually get better at it. Also, another thing, always keep in mind that body language has a baseline.
Yes.
So, you know, somebody might say somebody who blinks a lot is anxious. Well, blinks a lot compared to their baseline.
Yes.
You know, so if you're doing it for lie detection, for example, so baseline is important, and clusters. One little tiny thing may not mean anything, but if you see a cluster of body language behaviors, it means a lot more.
Good stuff. Mark.
Another thought I had, you know, in a fun way, you can, Tim Roth had that series, and you can probably watch it on most platforms. It's called Lie to Me.
Yep.
And yep, yeah, got there ahead of you, TJ.
Yes, he did.
But yeah, it's about, you know, again, and he was really good at, you know, reading, saying something, and then watching the body's reaction, because, you know, the body doesn't lie. You know, the conscious mind lies, but the, you know, the body, I believe, I choose to believe that, you know, the body can't lie. So when you ask the question, whatever again, the body will answer in a 60th of a second. So it's you know, just another a good primer on body language, and it's presented in an entertaining way.
Yes. Great show. And a lot of people thought it was for entertainment purposes only and had no idea how much actual information is in there. So another great resource for study. I was also going to put in there, Chase Hughes has a book called 6-Minute X-Ray. And I've got it, I think it's in the closet there, but 6-Minute X-Ray breaks it down very well. It's one of my favorite airport reads, because now that we have to get to the airport the day before we fly out or something like that, so that we can sit there and not bring any food in, but be tempted by a $32 quarter pounder. I like to people watch and hone my skills and go back to it. Yeah, another great book, Holly, The Behavior Operations Manual, Neurocognitive Intelligence by Mr. Chase Hughes. 6-Minute X-Ray, yep. Great book. I've got them all. I'm going to have to send Chase a bill for endorsement now. Anybody else got any ahas, epiphanies, comments they'd like to toss in? Mark. You're muted, Mark.
We're going to say you failed to mention Lillian Bridges and
Oh yeah,
her massive acumen in terms of reading body language.
face reading, yes,
Face
great
reading.
stuff. Yep, I got mine over there. And if any of you guys have questions about face reading or stuff like that, you can reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to run you through the stuff that I've been trained on. But it sounds like it might be time for another question. Who's got another question? I know there was one more that was brought up that I thought would be good for a second hour.
I know Holly had one at the beginning. Did we get to
I
that
did
one?
have one. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was something to do with, oh, yeah. So we were talking about helping.
Helping.
So my question was, I have a history of offering my help where it wasn't wanted a lot, and I'm trying to be better about that. But I may have swung the pendulum too far to the other side. So my question is, I mean, I guess I kind of assume people know if they want help, I'm here, so they can always ask. How can you offer help to somebody without coming off as trying to insert yourself, trying to be, being patronizing, anything like offer it as a genuine, they know you're there without going so far that it feels like you're trying to be controlling or insert yourself or go which is somewhere that's none of your business.
Ooh. Good question. Lenora.
I love this question. And this is something that I have had to learn the art of, not in the pleading with them like, oh, please let me help you, or in an arrogant way like, I could totally help you with that or anything in that sense. I have offered help in the past. And when I hear certain things now, I'll drop little golden nuggets of that might be something you want to look into. That might be something you want to explore a little bit if you're noticing the word coming up in your language and what that looks like for you. And really depending on who it is. Adding to that, I do think that there is a balance of offering help or sharing that you can offer some insights with that, and having the balance of recognizing that this is what we do, as in we're naturally empathic, we naturally want to help people, and we naturally have had a tendency in the past to potentially be a people pleaser of sorts. And to find that line that recognizes people to say, I can offer, but I'm only going to go so far, because when I overgive, which is a thing, and there isn't a reciprocity, there isn't an exchange going on. Reciprocity might not be the best word. Exchange would probably be the better word. When there isn't an even exchange, it does result in a misbalance. And that is something where either you might potentially become resentful, or you might become frustrated, or they might be looking at it going, they keep giving, giving, giving. I can't exchange anything. I can't give them anything. And then they'll cycle through their own sabotage because they can't get that fed. So whether that goes into bread of shame or anything like that. And I think, especially for some of the people, I will put a little pin in this one. For as a female, when I have male friends that I say, like, let me help you with that, or would you be open to talking about that with me? Few of them, very few of them are. And there's something where I think it breaks my heart, because people, especially men, may feel like they can't ask women for help, or that there is I'm a man, there is a pride thing. But finding those connections, because I do think that there is a beautiful coaching, supportive exchange, whether it's coaching that you paid for, or somebody really is mentoring you and coaching you through that process. Yes, there is an exchange for female and female, male and male, and an exchange for male and female, female and male. That can absolutely take place, and you reach a completely new opening for yourself. So when you're offering to people, I would say, especially because of how empathic we are and how much we love to help people, I would recognize that your energy and your gifts are special, are a privilege, and that the person that you're going to offer help to is able to receive them in the best way, and that there does need to be some sort of balance. That's my thought.
Great answer. Thank you. Michael.
So that goes hand in hand with what you brought up earlier, as far as, hey man, how does it feel when you help somebody? Why would you deprive me of trying to help you? Especially if I am in a position that will help you. So Holly, when you're talking to somebody like that, you just ask them, say, hey guys, if I needed your help, would you be there for me? And I think I'm in a situation that might be able to help you. Would you be open to it?
Or would you be opposed to it?
Exactly. Using the FBI stuff. No. So.
And now I've got another facet to this deal. Who knows what an ask hole is? Anybody know what an ask hole is? Lenora, what's an ask hole?
Somebody who keeps asking for help and then does not take the insights that they are offered and makes no attempt to implement them, but then continues to cycle through complaining about the same problem again and again and again and again and again.
Yep. Keep asking for help, asking for advice, and then does just the opposite of what you've told them, because they know better or whatever, and then they come back to you going, well, I tried it differently than you told me and it didn't work out. So how come it happened like that? Because you're an asshole. And I think we've all dealt with people like that in our lives or at work, or if you've ever been in the hospitality industry, you get to interact with lots of them. Good topic. So, any more, or is it time for a new question or a new topic? And who's got something? Advice on cats. Well, at least I knew the speaker's on. Nobody's got a question? Really? Lenora?
I would like to know people's insights on how they navigate shame.
Ooh.
Especially, the lovely Fran is here. Hi, Fran.
Yay!
We were just asking or offering a new topic. And so you're welcome to offer one if you have one right off the top of your head. The one that I was just asking about was shame, how people work to navigate it, especially when it comes to your own internal voices. Do you notice when you are shaming yourself?
Holly.
Man, got a ton of thoughts on this, and also need to hear all of your thoughts on this too. So the first thought that came to my mind, I'm thinking about Brene Brown, a lot of her work. She's got some good insights on this topic. There's a difference between shame and guilt. People use different words for it. Those are the words I tend to use. Guilt is something that causes you to recognize you could have done better and correct your actions, basically. Shame causes you to want to hide your actions and shut down and not try again. So the first question I have to ask myself, and there's still a piece missing. That's there's a piece missing that I haven't figured out yet. But we'll go with the first bit. Is first of all, did I genuinely do the best I could with the understanding and resources I had at the moment? Because the number of times that I beat myself up that I was doing the best I could is ridiculous. And it's like, if you're in a situation that's unfolding, I'll use a police officer as an example. You don't necessarily know if that suspect is reaching for a cell phone or for a gun. And you also don't know if that, kid that's down the block is going to get hurt if you make the wrong decision. So, that's kind of an extreme example, but you make a decision, say you don't do anything and it's a gun and somebody gets hurt, you're going to second guess yourself. But let's say that you say, oh, I think it is a gun, and you take action and it wasn't a gun. Somebody's going to get hurt and you're going to second guess yourself. So to a certain point, we have to tell ourselves, first of all, hindsight is not 20/20. We think it is, but it's not. So always keep, sometimes we're choosing between two bad choices. And we choose one choice and it was the better of the two, but because it's still bad, we look back at it and say, I shouldn't have made that choice because it had a bad outcome. And it's like, well, maybe the other choice had an even worse outcome.
Yes.
So first of all, hindsight's not 20/20. Second of all, even if it were 20/20, you didn't have that understanding when you had to make the choice.
There.
So, maybe when I was 12 years old, I did things that I wish I hadn't done. But how much understanding do I have now that I didn't have then? How much life experience do I have now that I didn't have then? So, we talk about when you're making a goal, there's no failure, only feedback. a lot of times if you're feeling, so the first question you have to ask yourself is this feeling making me want to hide or making me hide and shut down? Or is it making me want to adjust and take action? If it's making you want to hide or shut down, you're dealing with shame and that's not useful. So then I ask myself, okay, I'm feeling shame. Should I be feeling guilt? Because I don't want to just go from, oh, I shouldn't be feeling shame, so I shouldn't be feeling anything. Once again, guilt is that I want to adjust. So the questions that you've got to ask yourself are, first of all, is there anything that I can learn from this that I haven't already learned? Second of all, are there any reparations that I need to make that I haven't already made? And when I say reparations, I think of Jocko, who I'm sure everybody knows who Jocko is. He talks about extreme responsibility. So it may not be my fault, but it still may be my responsibility to clean up the mess.
Yep.
So is there any responsibility that I'm ducking that I need to own? And sometimes I may look back at it and say, you know what, 90% of this wasn't my problem, but there's still that 10% that I still need to own. And sometimes I'm blaming myself for the 90% because it's harder to face the 10% because the 10%'s real. And so the 90% is, if I focus on that, deep down inside, I know I wasn't really responsible for that. So as long as I can focus on the 90% and hang out in the shame and numb myself, I don't have to actually take ownership and lean into the guilt of the 10% that really was my responsibility, that really can teach me, that really is going to be hard learning. But yes, if I've already learned what I with my current abilities can learn from it, and if I've already taken the ownership I can take from it, there comes a point where I have to ask myself if this is a chapter in my life that I need to close. And when I say close, I'm not closing it on the lessons. I'm not closing it on the responsibility, but I am closing it, like a computer file of this doesn't need to be running anymore because it's actually causing damage because it's still running. So the big question is this doing any good right now? Is this motivating to take needed action? Or is this just sucking up all my energy on something that doesn't need attention anymore? And so, and once again, maybe I need to do magic frame. Maybe I need to extract the lessons. Because, Jordan Peterson, I think I've mentioned this before, talks about in our line of work, we think about the things other people do to us can traumatize us. But sometimes the things we do, whether they're right or wrong, could traumatize us even more than the things that were done to us, especially if we've got the wrong lesson. So another one would be, I'm sure we've all experienced this. Maybe you've got somebody who was severely abused as a 7-year-old child, and they've somehow internalized a way to make it their fault. They've got the guilt, they've got the shame. And it's like, once can you send that adult version back, and get out of that stuck place? All the things that we use for trauma, we could send back for shame as well. Because there comes a point where you're like, a 7-year-old, compared to what happened to them, there's no way the 7-year-old has any guilt or any shame that should be theirs. But they've internalized it, and so, you might have to work through it, and you might have to work through the fact that, maybe dad was abusing them, but dad was also this amazing protector at times. You might have to separate that out of, how can I appreciate what he did right, but still, recognize what he did wrong, for example. So, but anyway, so if you can close that and it's not closing, there's probably cleanup you need to do using some of these techniques. You may need to reach out to somebody else to clean it up with these techniques. But you at least know that it's not there for a reason. It's not there actively helping you recognize something that needs attention. And that's a very, very important thing. And then the other thing I always look at is Virginia, I think her first name's Virginia, last name's Dweck. She wrote the book Mindset. And she talks about a limited mindset versus a growth mindset. Limited mindsets say, I need to look perfect. I care about how I look above everything else, and I'm going to sacrifice everything else. So I'm just constantly hiding. That's where shame lives, is in the limited mindset. But the growth mindset says, no, I'm going to embrace that because that means I'm trying. The reason I messed up is because I was willing to try, and trying is the cost of growth. Trying is the cost of existing. Trying is the cost of helping. We're all imperfect. When we were learning to walk, if we had shame from falling down the first time and never tried again, how would that impact us? Is this shame that, like I said, should it be guilt that's giving us feedback that's actually valuable? Or is it just shame saying, hey, I'm not looking perfect, I'm caring too much what other people think about me, rather than on what I'm meant to do and on actually growing and learning? So those are my first instincts.
Wow.
Thank you.
That is so fantastic. Holly, you are just amazing. I just get so much when you share your wisdom. Thank you. I've jumped in anyway, TJ,
Good.
without being asked. One of the things, this has been something that I've been thinking about quite a lot lately as well. And I've noticed that a lot of shame I feel now is actually linked in weird ways to past events. It's never just about, or it's seldom just about the event on its own. So that when it's linked back to an earlier experience, particularly a childhood experience, the emotions come up much more strongly than is appropriate for the current situation. And because when the original shame, which is weirdly linked with our brain, which our logical brain may not see the link, but our unconscious brain does. And when that experience was laid down, if it was at an earlier age, the emotions attached to that guilt and shame and that feeling are much more raw, earlier. The perspective and understanding from that age when the original memory was laid down are different to the experiences now. But that's what we feel with the current shame or guilt anyway. So trying to actually dig back to or allowing your unconscious mind to go on free form to work its way back to some of the original events. And then for me, it gives me a perspective of why I feel so strongly about something that I really shouldn't care about. The other thing to think about is that guilt is a social survival program that's hardwired into us, or some of us, not all of us. That's how psychopaths get away with so much, or people that are taking advantage. But it is a social survival tool, program, essential. Otherwise, where are our inhibitions about doing things that will wipe out our species or our tribe or whatever? So when things are hardwired for survival, again, they are absolutely front and center and take over all your time, all your energy, all your focus. So just recognizing that can make you maybe understand that what you're feeling is probably bigger than it really needs to be. And the other thing that I've noticed is when I feel really guilty about something, and especially guilt that I've carried around for maybe years, if I actually get up the courage to talk to a person about it, they don't even remember what it was.
There. Yes.
That's all I've got for now. Oh, no, it's not. Sorry. Holly opened the subject up so much about the guilt that people, especially people who are adults and were abused as children, but especially by family, who they've got this dual relationship with, or some of them have, not always, but they love the person and they need their attention, but they've also carried this guilt. And it's a real hard dilemma because the guilt is socially in place that this shouldn't happen, but they still love the person, and trying to deal with that pull me, push you of I love them, but I don't like what they do to me or didn't like. And very often the most effective tool that children learn is just to block that bit out of their everyday life until it really makes its presence felt and you can't ignore it. But it's usually easier just to bury it and get on with life.
Yes.
That's what I've got. Thanks.
And Renee put a great comment in. Again, for those of you that aren't joining us live, you're missing out on a lot of really good stuff. We try and keep up with it, but she said, shame makes you hide from the world. So gently re-enter the world by sharing something small, genuine, and vulnerable with a friend. And if you're even afraid of doing that, sometimes just sharing with a stranger. You know, I don't know how many times I've been on a plane ride and get to chatting with the person next to me, and it may or may not be because of what I do, but they just open up and start sharing stuff with me, and I think that may have been one of their ways of getting it off their shoulder by telling somebody. And yeah, share with a stranger. That's how we are as professional hypnotists. And when we've got, especially with the tools that we have and the ability to do can't think of the word now, non-disclosure therapy. They don't have to tell us what they're going through. And some of the time, they don't even know what it is. When we're doing HMR and color breathing and stuff, they can clean up so much stuff without revealing a single incident that, what a blessing. Holly.
Oh, wow. Everything Fran and TJ both said, just my mind is going a million miles a minute. Thank you so much for what you're saying. A couple thoughts that I thought is, shame and trauma could be very, very similar, but the difference is with trauma, we feel like we have the right to get rid of it. Whereas with shame, we feel like we don't have permission because somehow we're hurting the person that gave us that shame or whatever. And I think that that's not true. So the first step is saying, I have permission to let go of my shame. As soon as you take that permission piece out of it, I just go through when's the last time we did a shame gray room? This is all the shame that you've been holding on to that's ready to be purged. Get rid of it that way. Or, we talk about the karma police. If you were to look at that pile, what percentage of that shame came from you?
Yes.
Now, we also talk about whose voice is the shame. And,
Fair.
you could decide, change it to Mickey Mouse. Is it your parents? Is it yours? How much of this is yours and how much, it's
Right
initial
there.
sensitizing event. We're just reliving the initial sensitizing event. Look, every single thing is exactly the same between the two. It's just nobody ever told us that shame's not helpful to us, shame's not helpful to anybody else, and honestly, most of the time, shame isn't even right. We might have hit on somebody else's cognitive dissonance or something like that. Somebody shamed us because they thought they were keeping us safe. They thought they were teaching us a good lesson just because they were passing on their shame to us or their misunderstanding to us, whatever it may be. So, thank them for having good intentions, but say, you know what, you may have had good intentions, but the understanding wasn't perfect. I'm updating to the upgraded understanding now. And I give myself permission to clear all shame that isn't serving me, that isn't serving the people around me in any way.
Yes. Yes. And Renee put another great comment in there. The armor to shame is often perfectionism. So challenge that by purposely making something good enough or deliberately making something slightly imperfect. And with the number of clients that I've worked with, it's interesting how many of them are surprised by the fact that they made it up. They made up the shame through different inputs. And when I ask them, bulimia, so many different things are byproducts of the information that got twisted around. And when we go in there, who did you give the power to? And how was the power stored? when I have them go back and bring up the recordings, the memories of what they've attached so much shame to, again, they took something, a bunch of small information, oftentimes when they were too young to understand all of the stuff connected to it, and as they aged, it amplified. And if you can go back and look at if you can actually identify the event that started the whole thing, it's almost like that snowball on the top of the hill. Mom said something to me when I was young, when she was mad. I didn't know she was having a bad day, and I was having a good day until she had her bad day and made my day a bad day. And then I grabbed it and I put it into a ball and I set it on the edge of the hill, and it went down and it just gathered size and momentum. And now I have this huge amount of shame, and I forgot why. Until we can take them back, and I've had clients come out of trance going, that was it? That was it? And I'm like, I'm not judging. You feel better now? Yeah! Holy cow! But when it's lurking in the background, when it's that old program that is still operating on Windows XP, and we have no idea that we're up to, Windows 2 billion now or something like that. We had no idea that old program was still there, messing with other programs that we need to run, because it's incompatible. Well, if you don't even realize it's on the hard drive, how are you going to rewrite it? How are you going to purge it? How are you going to do a defrag? Anybody else got any more comments, epiphanies before we? Yes, Fran. 3 chair is often really useful for, yes.
To get the other people's perspectives, because you might not have realized where they were coming from. Maybe their intentions actually were kind and good, but you didn't understand what they meant at the time. There's so much room for misunderstanding as the root of all this as well.
Yeah. And one of my other favorite questions I like is, if you had a drunk, homeless meth head say that to you, how much would it bother you? But because it came from somebody that we have given power and authority to, we've taken those words, that action, that event, and we added so much additional energy and power to it. Yes, and family has the biggest impact on how we feel. That's why oftentimes when we ask people about the voices in their head, what do they tell you, Fran?
It's usually a parent or a grandparent or an authority figure or a headmaster, and they play really loud.
Yes, they all come from, almost every time I have somebody close their eyes and I say, if there were 3,000 speakers around you in a complete bubble, point to where the speaker is that said that. Up here, right here, up here, where all the voices came from when we were kids.
I had an issue with my grandmother, and I actually did manage to do a bit of three chair, something she said to me when I was little. And when I actually stopped and thought as an adult what her life had been like and why she'd said the things she said to me and her intention, I felt shame because I had so misjudged her and carried that around all my life.
Mm-hmm.
What a waste. What a waste of energy.
But now that you got that perspective, who had the shame, the adult or the kid?
The kid did. And I still find myself, even though I can logically see this, I probably haven't totally dealt with the kid emotions because I still keep, because it's so habitual, I find myself drifting back to that position on automatic pilot.
There. That right there, what you just said. You've been doing it for so long, it becomes a habitual knee jerk. And we have to have the ability to constantly remind ourselves and have a tribe that can help us remember it happened back then. It's not happening, it happened.
And the most important part about drifting back to that perspective is if you can see it, and even if you do it a few times and mess up a few times and drift back to that, but if you can see it once, you can see it again. And even if you're right in the middle of it and you see it, you can stop it. So you can start a new habit and just interrupt that pattern.
Yeah, because you now have power that you never had. You have information that you didn't have. That's why one of the most powerful things I teach my clients and my students, you did the best you could at the time with the tools, the knowledge, and the energy you had available to you. If you could have done better, you would have. So now no more shoulda, coulda, woulda, because if you keep shoulding, you get a shouldy life, and nobody needs a shouldy life. Shoulding all over yourself like that. Well, I shoulda, I coulda. Oh.
And I have
Putting
to
out energy to Guillermo. Holly.
I'm just going to throw one addition to that too. If it's one of those rare cases where you weren't doing the best you could, you are a different person now.
Yes.
And so all you could do is learn and know that if you could go back in time, you'd do it differently now. And next time you run into it, you will do differently.
And you know what I find out a lot of times when people do that? They didn't have the energy. They knew better. They had the knowledge, but they just didn't have enough energy to give a rip. I don't have enough energy to care about this anymore. I don't care. I don't have the energy. I know better. So that's where, and sometimes that happens. I think as humans, we have probably all been in a situation where we were just too angry or too tired or too hungry or whatever. We didn't have the energy, even though we knew the right thing to do. We had the tools, we had the knowledge. We were missing the energy. Any last comment, Fran?
Just because I'm a smarty pants and I think we need to lighten the mood, remember when you get all these voices in your head of people that say you must obey this rule, you must obey that rule, that they're a load of must obeaters.
One more time, what was that?
When people tell you what you must
They're
do,
they're what?
they're a load of must obeaters. So, sorry, it takes the power out of it.
No, you're awesome. I adore the. I'm so glad you show up. Love you on so many levels. You missed my little comment earlier about people and opinions. I teach my clients and students that opinions are just like buttholes. Everybody's got one. Some are clean, some are dirty, some stink. And if somebody wants to spray their butthole all over you, their opinion all over you, you just got to realize, well, you're just one of those stinky buttholes. There, can't believe I finished a show talking about dirty buttholes. Welcome to Triple T, where this is live, folks. This is not rehearsed. And this is what you get. But the cool part is we're here, and we do this out of love and wanting to help others. And I love you guys so much, and I hope that this helps you. And for those of you that are out on YouTube, I get to say, love you, Mom. And for the rest of you, thank you so much for investing your precious commodity of time here on this platform. Again, it's not for my glory. I just want to help people out, get some information out, help people any way you can. And if you could help me by clicking the subscribe button, ringing the bell so you know when we're back on the air, share these videos with friends and family that need to hear some of this stuff. And until next week, please go out and live life as full as you can. Be the youest you can, because everybody else is already taken. And I hope to see your beautiful faces back here in 7 glorious days. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Good night, people.